We are here for our freedom because it's our right. And today is our first congressional briefing. And we have our special guest here. We Biafrans are familiar with who he is. He's someone who advocates for freedom, human rights, and also religious rights. We have our special guest, Marco Ruby. And Ruby is Senior Fellow, American Enterprise Institute. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you very much, Mr. Acting Prime Minister. I don't need, first of all, it's good to see Biafra represented so well in Washington, D.C. Unlike in Nigeria, and unlike in Finland, we're not going to arrest dissidents. I'm a historian by training, and especially with this audience, we don't need to tell you that Biafra may have redeclared its independence, but it is a long history. And if we count the maps that European merchants, geographers, and other travelers made dating back to the 17th century, then Biafra is actually older than the United States of America. We're not talking about a so-called secession. We're talking about decolonization. And when we look at Africa today, we must recognize that the problem of colonialism is no longer based in London and in Paris. It's based in places like Abuja and Lagos. The fact of the matter is, and for that matter, Yaoundé as well, the fact of the matter is that we are witnessing a second wave of decolonization in Africa right now. Biafra, Amazonia, Somaliland are at the front line of a struggle for freedom. Religious freedom as well as simply personal, economic freedom, political freedom. The fact of the matter is, though, when we talk about that front line of colonialism, Biafra, Amazonia, Somaliland, we're also talking about a response to genocide. The fact of the matter is, when we look at the modern history of Biafra and we see some of the key figures represented on this podium, and it's so appropriate that we're sitting here in a room dedicated to Veterans Affairs, to honor the veterans of the Biafra struggle. The fact of the matter is that they did not start the struggle for Biafran rights. Nigeria did. Nigeria has agency. They have decision-making. No one forced Nigeria to undertake the pogroms of 1966. That was a decision that was made in Lagos. And what we have seen, the struggle for freedom in Biafra, is a natural response to the repression, which is now more than 60 years old inside Nigeria, especially with regard to Biafra. Now, we can talk about genocide. And unfortunately, what has occurred in Biafra in the late 1960s and so forth, isn't the only case of genocide that the 20th century has seen. But what makes the history and the recognition of the Biafran genocide so important is this. When the Jews suffered the Holocaust, Germany afterwards acknowledged the Holocaust. The ideology that led to Nazism became stigmatized. Yes, there are still Nazis today, but it is an ideology which is outside the realm of acceptable belief. The problem with genocide denial isn't simply a denial of fact, a denial of history. But when you don't acknowledge the genocide, then what you're actually doing is throwing a life raft to the ideology upon which that genocide occurred. So when you have someone like the late Muhammadu Buhari, whose hands were covered in blood from the events of the Biafra genocide, rise to the presidency of Nigeria without anyone acknowledging his role, that simply perpetrates and legitimizes that genocide. Now, when it comes to genocide denial, I also have this to say. When people debate foreign policy in the United States, one of the progressive slogans that we hear time and time again is no blood for oil. Well, I have a message for Alexander Stubb. No genocide for oil. Finland has been a disgrace. Stubb has kowtowed to Turkey at the expense of the Kurds, at the expense of other dissidents, for the sake of getting Turkey to lift its de facto veto for Finland's NATO membership. Now he's kowtowing to the Nigerian government by arresting Simon Ekpa for the sole reason of advocating against genocide and of providing, frankly, at this point, the only reasonable way forward given the actions of the Nigerian state. Now, we can't engage in wishful thinking, and unfortunately that has been the problem in the United States. I would argue that Europe is more engaged in a cynicism, where they simply want Nigeria's oil, and let's be frank, it's not Nigeria's oil. It's Biafra's oil, the Delta region and so forth. The fact of the matter is they feel it's easier to have a relationship with a dictator, and they're going to look the other way. Never let the Europeans pretend that they stand as a representative of human rights when they act in such a cynical, racist, and way that is so contrary to life, liberty, justice, freedom, political rights. The fact of the matter is the Europeans need to be called out each and every day for that. Finland, especially. Now, I would go so far as saying Finland doesn't deserve the plaudits that so many people, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, tend to ascribe to Scandinavian powers. I would today argue that through its actions behind the scenes, by laundering the Nigerian government, by allowing, by cynically using this mantle which it had developed over decades as a protector of human rights, that Finland has become one of the most cynical promoters of human rights abuses, on par with Russia, with China, and with others. The only difference is Russia and China are much more open about what they're doing. Finland thinks they can have it both ways. Now, when it comes to the United States, however, the United States isn't blameless. We have two problems here. The first is the problem of the American perception of history. Whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, I don't care. And the fact of the matter is Biafra, like Cyprus, like India, should be a bipartisan cause. There's nothing partisan about freedom and liberty. And I say that as someone who personally is a Republican, but I was a Congressional Black Caucus Foundation fellow, working for the late Congressman BRGIE, who was a Democrat. So I say this not just as wishful thinking, but someone who truly believes in the importance of principle and its triumph over cynical partisanship. But let's face it, both the Republicans and the Democrats have a problem, and American society in general, and that's our general ignorance of history. In our own political culture, whether it's a Republican coming in after years of Democratic power or a Democrat coming in after years of Republican power, there's a tendency to believe that history is only 4 or 8 years long, and that every president who enters the Oval Office or Secretary of State who enters that 7th floor of their office of the Dwight D. Eisenhower building in Foggy Bottom, that they can somehow have a tabula rasa, that the past doesn't matter. Well, let me set the record straight. The past does matter. The past can't be forgotten. And we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for repeated efforts to work within the system, only to be crushed by Nigerian corruption, Nigerian dictatorship, and Nigerian cynicism. And if I may, Nigerian religious animosity on the parts of some sectarian communities. Now, one problem, of course, is then that U.S. historical ignorance, and this is where it's so important for the Biafrans to really rally, to meet with Democrats, to meet with Republicans, not to meet and spend all those times meeting with those who agree with you, but actually concentrating their efforts on those who disagree. The fact of the matter is, Americans need an education in history, and they need an education in history quickly, because the price of American ignorance is going to be tragedy and more killings in Biafra. Now, that's one problem. The other problem is a tendency of the United States to engage in wishful thinking. There are 2 types of ambassadors that the State Department sends abroad. And I'm not talking about professional ambassadors, civil service, foreign service versus political appointees. There's some good political appointees, there's some bad political appointees, and the same thing is true with the professional foreign service. But among ambassadors, however they get their job, there's 2 general styles. One style, and we've seen this too often in Nigeria, and I can name other places where we've seen this, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia as well, takes an ambassador, and that ambassador believes that the best way to represent American interests is to ingratiate themselves to a dictator, to have zero tension with that dictator, and that oftentimes means amplifying that dictator's propaganda, his rhetoric, to his face. Well, the State Department should realize and should recognize that dictators have no shortage of sycophants. It shouldn't be the job of American ambassadors to join the sycophants. George Shultz, the Reagan-era Secretary of State, was famous when a new ambassador was appointed. He would bring them up to his office, which was an elegant room, not unlike this which we're standing in the U.S. Congress. And he had a big globe next to his desk. And he would always ask the ambassador appointee, point to your country on the globe. And if they pointed to Nigeria, or they pointed to France, or they pointed to Burma, or they pointed to Pakistan, God help them. He would point to the United States and say, this is your country. You never forget it. When we send ambassadors abroad, their job should be to speak truth to power. It shouldn't be to kowtow to a dictator. And if that means calling out Nigeria for its abuses in Biafra, for its abuses of religious freedom, so be it. It may mean you're not going to get invited as the ambassador to this reception or that state dinner. Well, that's the price of being an ambassador and being truthful. Your job isn't to make a dictator feel good. It's to promote American interests as a U.S. ambassador. And one of the top American interests is religious freedom. The reason why religious freedom should be such a top priority is it really is the canary in the coal mine. It really is the metric by which to see whether a dictator's rhetoric and actions meet. When former Secretary of State Antony Blinken went to Nigeria and he met with the late Muhammadu Buhari, and he removed Nigeria from the religious freedom watch list, that was wishful thinking. It didn't make Nigeria a better place. It didn't stop the killings in Biafra. It didn't stop the killings elsewhere in Nigeria. All it did was signal to the Nigerian government that they could quite literally get away with murder. Wishful thinking has consequence. The United States also needs not to believe its own spin and not to try to force, cynically use the Biafran issue to advance its other causes. So, for example, I don't know how many times I've talked to people who are partial to the Nigerian government in the United States and will accept the Nigerian laws. And they will say that what we see happening in the Southeast has nothing to do with religious hatred, with religious intolerance on the part of the Nigerian government. It's all about climate change. Let me tell you this, and I've actually said this to the State Department. Climate change does not charter buses in order to ship Fulani militiamen into Biafra to kill Christians. That's not China, that's not climate change. That's ethnic cleansing. That's religious hatred, that's sectarian cleansing. American wishful thinking isn't polite. It doesn't make diplomacy easier. It simply gets people killed. And this is also why it's so important for the Biafran people to rise up and not only work to establish their freedom in Biafra, to reestablish their country. It's also important for them to educate Americans. Now, as many of you know, my background and what I did when I worked at the Pentagon actually focused much more on Middle East history. That's what my PhD is in, and so forth. And having worked for more than 2 decades on issues that have some parallels, let me say this, and this may be controversial to say. Nigeria can't always be the enemy. And the reason I say this is, while Biafra must be free, there can be no compromise on it. At the same time, an independent Biafra is only going to thrive when Nigeria, its neighbor, is at peace with itself and with its neighbors. The fact of the matter is, the Biafrans are an engine of democracy. They were always historically the intellectual capital, the economic capital of Nigeria when they were under Nigerian occupation. But at the same time, they have a role not only to win freedom for Biafrans, but that freedom is only going to be confirmed when Nigerians also win their freedom, when corruption no longer governs Nigeria, and when the Nigerian military and Nigerian politicians don't cynically use religion in order to advance their own Swiss bank accounts. This is important, and this is a conversation, for example, it's understandable that you focus on Biafra, but this is an example which I've had conversations in the past with Iraqi presidents and prime ministers, and Kurdish presidents and prime ministers, and there's a recognition, despite the century-long struggle of the Kurds, the so-called largest people without a nation, to win their freedom, to win their independence. Many of them have also come to recognize that that independence is going to take real reform instead of ruin for their neighbor next door. I've had this conversation with the Cypriots and the Greeks. vis-a-vis Turkey as well. Turkey is a problem today, and Turkey is a problem which is going to work with the Nigerian government in order to kill Biafrans. But at the same time, what the Greeks and the Cypriots will tell you is while today Turkey acts like an enemy, there can only be true peace once Turkey fundamentally reforms. And so it's important when you speak and when you advocate for your cause, not only to promote the freedom for Biafra, but to argue and to recognize that Biafran freedom is going to be symbiotic. It's going to bring stability to the region. Biafra is going to be a model, not only for Biafra, it's going to be a model for Nigeria, so that Nigeria can get its act together, even as Nigeria heads towards the precipice. No one wants to, let me put it this way, many of you are familiar with the American satirical newspaper, The Onion. I remember a headline in that satirical newspaper after Russia invaded Georgia in 2008. It was a fake announcement by Condoleezza Rice, the Secretary of State, who was arguing that U.S. position is that no American allies should border Russia because it was just too difficult. The fact of the matter is, she was warning allies not to border Russia as if they have a choice. The fact of the matter is, it's in no one's interest. It's always going to be a problem for occupied Biafra and for independent Biafra to border a failed state, to border an irredentist state, to border an aggressive military dictatorship. Independent Biafra is going to need to recognize that as Nigeria fails, and let's face it, today it's a failing state. It's a building, it's a 10-story building that's ridden with termites. The fact of the matter is that every military leader inside Nigeria is going to try to distract their own Nigerian public by trying to whip up a frenzy against Biafra. So on one hand, you need to be prepared for that. And you recognize this because this is your history. But on the other hand, if there can be fundamental reform in Nigeria, then ultimately you will thrive and be the most prosperous country in Africa. Now, the other point I need to make, and this is not for the people here, but some of the people abroad, is that when you talk to Americans, especially non-Biafran Americans like myself, like congressmen and so forth, I am honored here to be with the acting Prime Minister. I hope someday to be with the non-acting Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa, as well, if he's ever sprung from his Finnish dungeon. But the fact of the matter is, as an American, as someone who obviously has no Nigerian heritage, it's not my job or my concern to decide who the leader of Biafra is. You ask any American like me, any white American, who cares about human rights, who cares about Biafran liberty, what I would say is, when Biafra becomes independent, all these disputes will fall by the wayside because you have monitored democratic elections. But if anyone starts to attack other Biafrans in the presence of European politicians, American politicians, United Nations diplomats, they are essentially creating treason against Biafra. Because what you're doing is giving evidence to your enemies that Biafra isn't serious. Now, let me give you one example. When I came to Washington and began working in foreign policy in 1999, one of the first people I met was a gentleman named Barham Saleh. He was the Washington representative of the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan. Now, the Kurds, I've referenced before, they're split between 4 different countries, so Biafra is a little bit luckier than this. At the same time, the Kurds in Iraq, in northern Iraq, are divided between 2 major political parties. One was Jalal Talabani's Patriotic Union of Kurdistan. The other was Masoud Barzani's Kurdistan Democratic Party. And between 1994 and 1997, these 2 Kurdish parties fought a civil war to suggest that anger among the Kurds wasn't high would be an understatement. They hated each other's guts. 2,000 people remain missing to this day from that civil war in northern Iraq between the Kurdish parties. And again today, that region is essentially divided. Barham Saleh had a rule as the representative of one of the 2 Kurdish parties in Washington, D.C. His rule was, I will talk Kurdish politics to other Kurds, but I will never talk Kurdish politics when someone else is in the room. Because the only message that Washington needs to hear is Kurdistan must be free. The only message that Washington must hear today is that Biafra must be free. Decisions with regard to the leadership of Biafra are going to be made by Biafrans themselves. But the most important issue for everyone, whether they are legitimate or frankly whether they are illegitimate, is that Biafra must be free. Don't tweet against your political adversaries. Take the high road. Don't talk about your rivals to congressional staffers. And if your rivals talk about you, you may feel that it does you a disadvantage. Let me assure you it does not. If the acting prime minister, if the acting cabinet are the ones who are speaking softly and achieving things, creating a new currency, creating the structures of state, ultimately every serious congressman, like Chris Smith, like Mark, one of the most important staffers on Capitol Hill, they are going to recognize you for what you are. Because only amateurs talk about their rivals. Those who are legitimate, those who are serious, those who are here today are the people who advance their cause. And make no mistake, momentum is on your side. So I speak here today, and I'm concluding my remarks right now, by thanking you for your activism, by welcoming you to the halls of Congress, where you are free to talk to anyone, and you don't need to risk arrest, because again, your words we're not in Finland. We don't have to talk about the Helsinki standard. The fact of the matter is, I hope to be here when the United Nations General Assembly recognizes Biafra as the 55th or 56th African state. And I have absolutely no doubt that I turn the floor back over to the acting prime minister.
God bless Biafra. We have emerged triumphant from all our foes. Through the crucible unscathed, we passed victorious. Our trumpets pealing the glorious song. Play it, sing it, all hail Biafra. Oh, hail Biafra. We shall always remember all that perished in the struggle for our freedom. All hail our heroes. Our prayer shall be known both day and night. Say them always. All hail Biafra. All hail Biafra. Now our star shines everywhere. We crave humility. God guide and protect us all. All hail your wisdom, shielding us from fury, unleashed by our enlightenment. Biafra, Biafra, shining forever.
A minute silence to the fallen heroes of Biafra, and the time starts now. We mourn our heroes past, we celebrate our heroes. Our heroes living, we celebrate them, and our heroes past. Our babies, women, and children that have been massacred in the cause of Biafra, we salute all of you. Our leaders in detention, we salute you all for your sacrifices. And we continue to keep the flag flying above sea level until Biafra is fully restored. Ise, 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 Ise. With the flyer on the screen, we keep on reminding you. The 6th, the 7th, the 8th of November is total lockdown in Anambra State. And Anambra is Biafra territory. 50,048,916 voters of Biafra voted yes to exit Nigeria on the Biafra referendum. So if you were not aware, be aware now. Media team, if you have not connected your channels, please go ahead and check the media group on Telegram and also on Twitter. A link has been posted there before now for you to pair up your channels. I salute all Biafrans. And be reminded that on these days, you have to stay indoors because the Biafra civil engineers, they will be restructuring many structures in Anambra. The Biafra civil engineers will be restructuring many structures in Anambra. So all Biafrans are to abide by this very instruction from the Biafra de facto government in the homeland, which is the Biafra Defense Forces in the homeland. This message is coming from the Biafra de facto government in the homeland, the Biafra Defense Forces in the homeland of Biafra. I salute all Biafrans and I welcome all of you to yet another evening, morning, afternoon, night, depending on your time zone. I salute our leaders that have laid the foundation for us to come this far. I salute the two leaders that I have behind me. You have Philip Effiong and Ikemba Ojukwu behind me. These are our generals that have defended Biafra before now. And their memories lives on because the sacrifices which they paid is what left the blueprint that we are able to follow today. Owazirike rekindled the fire of Biafra after many years. He fought to when he was sabotaged and locked up by our own evil and terrorist politician leaders of Igbo land. Our own problem is not far-fetched. Most of the problems we have are coming from within. The way Wazirike was locked up, betrayed, and Biafra shut up was done by our own. The way Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was locked up in 2015 and in 2017 invaded his house to kill him, it was not done by Fulani from Kafanchan or from Abuja. It was the connivances of the terrorist politicians that we have in our lands who also answer Biafra like us. That Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was saved out of Afaroku in September 2017, and for him to still be alive was by God's grace. Those that went to kill him and organized the killing and the elimination of over 30 people in his house since they couldn't kill him were the Igbo politicians that we have. That Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped again in Kenya was still well orchestrated and planned and mapped out by our own. While today you can see Gumi in the midst of Nigeria in shambles. Gumi, the terrorist spokesperson, the terrorist minister of Nigeria, the Boko Haram terrorist minister of Nigeria, the jihadist terrorist minister of Nigeria, has come out today again to say that Tinubu should negotiate and have peace deal and talk with the Boko Harams. And he's making comparison to the way American President Trump is bringing about a peace deal between Israel and the Hamas terrorists. So, invariably, Gumi is telling you, one Nigerianist, that if you don't come for a peace deal between the Boko Haram terrorists that are fighting to implement jihad and the Nigerian people, that they are going to implement and be more furious, even more than what Hamas terrorists did in Israel. So what message are you getting? They are going to do what? Launch another attack in Nigeria. The Boko Haram terrorists have given a warning that they are going to launch another attack in Nigeria. And this time, you don't know if they are going to start from Abuja. You don't know if they are going to start from Lagos. You don't know if they are going to start from Ilorin. You don't know if they are going to start from Ondo. You don't know if they are going to start from EKID. You don't know if they are going to start from Zamfara. You don't know if they are going to start from Kwara. That is why you all need to put your hands together for us to defend and protect our babies, women, and children in Biafra land. And for us to also forge ahead and continue on the political and diplomatic work in Washington, D.C. I salute all Biafrans. Our Prime Minister was also sabotaged by our own politicians. So the enemies within are more than those that are standing outside. That is why the campaign on holding all the Igbo politicians accountable, the Biafran politicians accountable, for them drawing us backward on Biafra, it is a message that everybody needs to carry. We appreciate the politicians of Nigeria that are using a strategy to drag out all the Igbo politicians now. Our message is penetrating. We gave them the code message and they amplify on it. So, Showore, continue dragging them out. Drag out all the Igbo politicians. Bring them to the naked square. Let the entire world know them and see them. That is, if Tinubu would not say they should lock you up before the 20th of October. And if they lock you up, I know there are no people that have balls that will be able to continue the campaign. Because everybody wants to have food and money in their pocket to be able to eat well and be fat enough. Nobody wants to sacrifice anything to end the injustice that is happening. Some of you will say, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is your savior. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the Mandela of Biafra. But you cannot sacrifice the kind of sacrifice to recompense what this Mandela of Biafra has done for you. This Mandela of Biafra has been in detention since 2021, and majority of you that started the journey with him, you have all gone back to engage your businesses and your normal lives so that you can be able to make more money. Many of you are even patronizing Nigerian politicking now. You are enjoying one Nigeria than before because you all want Biafra to end. But I can assure all of you that as you fight Biafra, you are making way for Fulani Islamic invasion to take over the entire community. And Mazen Amdekano said, when they will come for you, I won't be there. And when they are coming for you, he will not be there. Support BDF. Support BRGIE in diaspora. Drag out the evil terrorists and evil and devilish politicians out to release Mazen Amdekano and all our Biafran brothers and sisters that have been kidnapped in Biafra land and forcefully disappeared and taken to Niger State and locked up underground. Many were poured acid. Many were massacred without you taking notion to it. Some of you even shy away from all these things. You don't want to talk about Biafra. The more you don't want to talk about it, the more we are pushing in Washington, D.C. so that Nigeria sanctions will come to play. Yes, because the massacre has been too much. It is not time for grammar speaking. For those that know how to speak grammar, please give grammar one side. Oh. I just played a congressional briefing here, and you did not see too much grammar. We just went straight to the point. And here, Senator Ted Cruz is proposing a bill to hold and to sanction all Nigerian officials. For what? The kidnapping and the massacre of babies, women, and children in Nigeria did not start today. It started far back as at 2006. So we did not start it. We did not start the campaign. All we've come to do is to amplify and make sure Biafra is here and our babies, women, and children are not slaughtered. If you are against us exposing the evil of Nigeria against the indigenous people in that very contraption, I want to ask you a very simple question. If you are a mother or if you are a father, now let me use the analogy of a mother because it is a woman that understands the painstaking of pregnancy. It is a woman that understands the 9 months of pains and penury. It is a woman that understands the rain and the sun that you see in broad daylight. While everybody is seeing peace, you are seeing hell because of the pregnancy that you carry in your womb. Even when you have miscarriages, you know the pains that you go through. And even when the baby now or that seed stands, you also know the pain you go through. So let me use the woman standpoint to ask a question. You are a woman or a mother or a lady and you get pregnant. You carry this pregnancy for good 9 months. And mind you, there are some pregnancy that stays up to 12 months. There are some that complications will accrue to 18 months. Yes, 24 months. Some of you don't understand what women go through in the course of pregnancy. There's so much pain. Yes. What some of you stands to look at the end of the day is the joy that there is a newborn baby, right? But you don't sit back to reconsider the pain that is involved throughout the thick and thin times which the pregnant mother has to go through to safeguard that baby till the day that baby comes out. Some mothers give up in birth. When they even put to bed, they lose the last breath at the very end. The baby now comes out, but the mother is gone. It hurts. But when it now happens in a situation whereby the mother stays for the good 9 months, sometimes 12 months, sometimes 15 months, sometimes 18 months, and then at the end of the day, the baby comes out miraculously by God's grace. Because every successful baby that comes out is miraculously by God's grace. I am a living example. If it is not by God's grace, I wouldn't have come out to be alive. I wouldn't have been here to be a blessing or to be a stumble block to some people that had planned to come and destroy Biafra today, and to plan to destroy all the legacies and the handiworks that our predecessors have put on the ground for us to come and pick up and follow. So, I'm a miracle that God brought to the womb that I came forth. And I am a blessing today. And I am a stumble block and a curse to some other people, which I don't allow them to destroy Biafra. So miraculously, the baby comes out at the end of the day. And then the mother begins to nurture this baby. You nurture this baby from when the baby is only able to raise the fingers like this until when the baby is able to open the eye and be able to see, and the sensory membranes begins to work very well. It gets to the point that the baby is able to sit down. It gets to the point that the baby only takes liquid milk. It gets to the point that the baby graduates from liquid milk to being able to eat solid food, till the bones of the baby start becoming firm. The baby now starts crawling. From crawling, starts sitting. From sitting, before you know it, it don't dey stand. From standing, it don't dey waka. Now, baby don't waka. Baby don't begin to grow. Age 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Papa and mama suffer so much. Send them go school till maybe baby don't come reach like 20 years. He finish university. Finish at 21 or 22. He can't dey stand the weight. Or maybe na at 21, now he go see job. Or maybe he won't go start another family. The next thing that the parent of that baby, that have seen that only baby to be the hope that they have, the only seed that they gave birth to, the only assurance and connectivity that keeps the family together, their only joy and happiness, their only future. The next thing they hear of is that Boko Haram terrorists, sponsored by the Nigerian government, have cut off the head of that very baby. Slaughtered from head to toe, and then they become pieces of meat on the ground. You are the mother of this baby that Nigerian terrorist government have slaughtered to pieces. You carried this baby in your womb for good 9 months. With all the complications that you went through during your pregnancy, before that pregnancy could even stand to later bring forth that one baby which you have as a hope. And some of you have some other complications because of how this first baby came, that it has now been found that you can never have another baby again because of the internal complications that you have internally in your womb or inside of your body. Then you only happen to know that you have one seed, and that one seed should be the only one to sprout and make your family to extend. That is your only eye. That is your only hope. But you slept and woke up, you open or you switch on the television, and then you saw that the face of this baby or this child is the one that is being televised on the television. They say Boko Haram kidnapped this your child and cut this your child into pieces because he's a Christian, because he's not a fellow Fulani terrorist like them, because he refused to convert and to be like them. And meanwhile, before this, they have raped this your child. After they rape, before they cut to pieces and then become story. You are against BRGIE, dragging Nigerian government for the massacre of Christians, which are all Biafrans. You are against Senator Ted Cruz for giving us the listening ears to amplify our voice. You are against Senator Smith. You are against the chairman House of Foreign Affairs in the US. You are against the speaker that we have meetings and conversations with on how to bring Nigeria to book for the atrocities. I want to ask you, if it were your baby that happened to be only one eye that you have, because let me not say your husband, because let me not say your wife. Yes, some of you may not be so attached and have that love and affection for your wife or husband or girlfriend or boyfriend. But the way you are attached to that baby which you carried in your womb for good 9 months, good 12 months, good 18 months, good 20 months, and at the end of the day, you bring the baby out. The next thing you watch on the television is that Nigerian terrorist government with their terrorist foot soldiers have slaughtered that baby to pieces. What is the happiness and the joy that you will have? Are you glad to represent Nigeria and to uphold the integrity of Nigeria? Are you glad to carry Nigerian flag to go about and say you are Nigeria, you are representing Nigeria? I'm asking a very pertinent question. Because some of you never understood what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was doing for you in Nigeria. Neither did you understand what Mazi Simon Ekpa was doing. Neither did you understand what the Biafra Liberation Army are doing. Neither do you understand what the Biafran people and BRGIE entirely are doing for you. But when you are able to answer some simple questions, then I will make you understand that you have been living in fool's paradise. Because if you cannot withstand seeing that your baby that you carried in your womb for good 9 months slaughtered to pieces, then why are you attacking the Biafran people? Having taken Nigeria to the US Congress to deal with them for the kidnapping of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I salute everyone that have joined us this evening. And as you join us, please share and invite other people in. If you love the babies, the women, and children that are being massacred by the Fulani terrorists, sponsored and headed by the Nigerian government on a daily basis, if you love how they are being massacred, then you should as well bring all your children hand over to the Boko Haram terrorists, tell them to slaughter them, and then you stand and look. Enjoy. When you do so, we will understand that you have no empathy, and there is no point for you to have even conceived and to carry a baby for a good 9 months in your womb. But we will continue to tell you that for us, the Biafran people, we will not stop not one iota to make sure those that came to kill Biafran people don't have peace. We will hunt you from Biafra land to outside, just like we are doing now. We are using systematic pattern to hunt you people. That is why, as it is now happening inside Nigeria, all of you are crying. Showore is doing a good job now. Let him hold all the politicians. He is a politician too. Let him hold all of them. Let him drag all of them out. Let them all come out. You see, for you to understand that every court of Martin Nnamdi Kanu that is being done, it is already decided of what will happen. Knowing too well that it's not going to be released, they are just going there to buy time to do another charade of court appearance on such day. Then they put the hopes of Biafran high, thinking that they are going to release him. For you to understand that all the court dates that are scheduled, they know it is not a date to release Martin Nnamdi Kanu, that it is just to put the hopes of Biafrans high, ahead of what they are trying to stem, to put down. For you to understand this, the last court date of Martin Nnamdi Kanu, the adjournment was to be on the 16th, right? Okay. We heard that the adjournment was to be on the 16th. Now, the question we are asking is, how come Showore's protest for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is on the 20th of October? Whereas Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is to reappear in court on the 16th. So that means Showore has already known and he has already been informed that the 16th court date is another caricature. It is not a date to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It is just to go there, buy time, catch fun, do some jokes, they snap photo, then the lawyers will come and then talk before the media, and then they close. Do you now understand the point? Nigerian politicians, they know everything. They have written the script of every court appearance, what they have to do, how they will play the game. When they go there, the kind of motion they have to raise and say, this one has not been done. The last one, they told them that when they go, that they should say that the Nigerian Medical Association has not brought the report of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's medical situation. And they did it. As they did it, did all of you not go home? You went home and sat down. That is on the 16th now, is another day that has already been arranged, that they will also play another card. They will come and say something, this one did not come. And then they will also go back. So that is why you should ask, if Showore did not know that the 16th court date of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that nothing is going to happen, that it is just for them to come and line up and then give one excuse and go back. Why did he put the court date or the protest date on the 20th of October instead of the court date or a day before the court date? Why is it days, 4 days after the 16th of October that Onyendo have to reappear in court? Are you getting the point? So every court date is RNG date by the Nigerian politicians. And the attorney, the legal team of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, makes it worse for themselves. For you to even succumb to the point of allowing trial to exist, you are making the case complicated. When the first court of higher authority has already said Nigeria has violated international convention by kidnapping Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and we cannot try him. We have to return him back. You now, as the attorney, you allow trial to come. Even if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu says he wants the trial to go on, you will tell Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that you people as the legal team will stand out. If you want to go out there alone, you go out and stand. Because we, the attorneys, we will be playing another bad card by allowing a trial to continue when a higher court has already said Nigeria has committed a crime. So why is it that on the 16th is the court date of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but Nigerian politicians' protest for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is on the 20th? Is the protest not supposed to be days before Mazi Nnamdi Kanu appear in court? Why is protest scheduled 4 days after Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will appear in court? That means there is no need for the 16th of October appearance of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in court. So the script has already been written of what they have to do on the 16th in court. It's just to come and do caricature display there, and then they close. Then on the 20th, they come and do protest for the same Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It's so disheartening, but we encourage Showore, and we pray that Tinubu don't lock you up by DSS before the 20th of October, 2025. You were locked up before. It is the same Tinubu that came to release you because you are Yoruba like him. Sunday Bewu was also locked up. It is the same Tinubu that dropped his case file. That's one thing I love about you people, Yoruba. Yoruba will not want to bring out his brother to come and kill. He would rather turn the bullet against you as Igbo man, against you as a Biafran. They will not betray their own, but they will join hands to betray you. They will look for where their interest is. So, all the Igbo Efule politicians, Biafran people have to hold you accountable for the massacre of Biafrans and for the kidnap of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Starting from Akpabio down to the rest of you, you all must be held accountable. And we love the cry, the way the cry is going in the National Assembly of Nigeria. We love the way the cry is is happening in the House of Representatives. We love the way the cry is going in the House of Assemblies of each state of Nigeria. The acting Prime Minister, Honorable Okechukwu Nkere, has done something that we had once in a lifetime. How many of you remember when this happened?
The governor of the state himself obeys the sit at home on Monday, and then the civil servants that work in government house obey the sit at home, and government shut down on Mondays. It means the real governor of Southeast is Simon Ekpa, ruling the Southeast from Finland.
How many of you remember when this happened? This happened in the National Assembly. In 2023, this was when the National Assembly sat down to cry about the existence of Simon Ekpa and how he has drawn the attention of international communities to make sure Biafra comes and Nigeria is brought to book. This was in 2023. And then in 2024, they planned for his kidnap, they planned for his imprisonment, they connived with where? They connived with Finland and European Union. And then they made it happen. And it happened for them. But today, in 2025, the same cry that the National Assembly cried about our Prime Minister, they are crying again about BRGIE under this very APM. Yes, the cry has come again. The cry has come again. The first cry I played was in 2023.
Executive session.
And this second cry is in 2025. These people should understand something. You hunt for Simon Ekpa, you lock him up, you imprison him, you kidnap Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The National Assembly sat down to cry of the handiworks and effectiveness of BRGIE and the work of Biafra under Simon Ekpa in 2023 session. That was when Akpabio was crying that if the activities of Simon Ekpa is being felt and obeyed by all the governors of the whole Eastern region, including him himself, that it means the real governor is Simon Ekpa. That was 2023. And then in 2024, they were also crying. But here in 2025, Akpabio is now crying about the one that our APM has done in Washington, D.C. So when you try to stop Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpa a match, then you try to stop Simon Ekpa, Okechukwu Nkere arise. Do you think you can stop Okechukwu Nkere? And the worst mistake you guys have made is that the Okechukwu Nkere you guys are trying to stop, you know, they for Europe. Oh. The Okechukwu Nkere you guys are trying to stop and you guys are crying about is not in Europe. Oh. Europe is not America. Oh. Europe is not America. UK is not America. Mhm. Where they will allow you people to kidnap Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and bring him and lock him up for over 4 years. And UK will not say anything because they compromise with you. Where the European Union will align with Nigerian government and Finland because of oil and gas interests, imprison Simon Ekpa. And they give it there categorically that they are imprisoning him because of fighting for Biafra independence. Now, America is not like Finland. America is not like UK. It is the American president that stood in the UN General Assembly and told the entire world leaders of how incompetent, on how corrupt, and how evil they have all gathered in the UN General Assembly to ask for a reward to the October 7 massacre of the Israelis, babies, women, and children by the Hamas terrorists as a reward of what they did. Even at that, the hostages that they kidnapped are still in their possessions, and you are rewarding them for the kidnapping. You are rewarding them for the massacre. It is only the American president that turned that down. It is only the American president that has been to the Middle East to bring an end to all those wars now. The United Nations have not done it. United Nations only come to Nigeria to come and lie to the entire world. The UN secretary came and supervised and saw dead bodies of babies, women, and children butchered in the bushes by the terrorists. And then he came out and said he recommends Nigerian government to reintegrate the same Boko Haram terrorists into the communities so that they can come and finish the unfinished business which they had started by slaughtering and killing all the babies, women, and children, so that jihad can be implemented. If we only had just one congressional briefing, if we only had just one congressional briefing, if we had just one congressional briefing in 2025, 18th of September, and then after the one congressional briefing on Biafra, the entire American lawmakers and the American media are now pushing the radar on Nigerian government to bring out all the atrocities against the Christians. What do you think would have happened if our convention in Lati in 2023 was done in America? What do you think would have happened if our 2024 convention of Biafra Declaration in Finland was done in America? What do you think would have happened after those two historic events? Because America is the place where you stand and speak and it enters. America is the place where you stand and speak and it enter. You feel them. And it will create effect and goes deeply into the wounds and the marrows. Just one congregational briefing in America, and then the entire lawmakers of Nigeria are crying. The US lawmakers pick up because we gave them the open key. We opened the key to deal with Nigeria publicly by hosting this congressional briefing on Biafra. Some people don't know the significance of it. They thought it is just enter there, sit down and talk and go. No, The significance of this briefing to have been held inside the US Congressional Building. This is the White House Capitol. The White House, Washington, D.C. Capitol. This is where it happened. So with that alone, it gave the Biafran people a push. It gave the hope for every other open doors to come. Because of this, the lawmakers in Nigeria are crying. The last time they cried like this was in 2023 when they were crying with the name of our Prime Minister.
The governor of the state himself obeys the sit at home on Monday, and then the civil servants that work in government house obey the sit at home, and government shut down on Mondays. It means the real governor of Southeast is Simon Ekpa, ruling the Southeast from Finland.
This was 2023 cry. And that was the last time you hear them get so distracted about Biafra in the National Assembly. Now, in 2025, this is what has brought them back. The US Congressional briefing gave birth to this. Senator Ted Cruz pick it up. Many other senators, Senator Moore pick it up. Many other senators pick it up. Many other lawmakers in America pick it up. The Fox News, the US media houses, all of them, Washington, D.C., Washington Post, they are writing, New York Post, they are picking up and they are writing. The cry increases. This is the cry of 2025. Listen to them. If you did not do it, they will not cry. Oh.
To discuss this, but I don't think we can win. No group can win any discussion on this because it depends on the state you are looking at. If terrorism occurs in a Christianly dominated state, most people that will die there will be Christians. If it occurs in a Muslim dominated state, most of those who will die there will be Muslims. But if it occurs particularly in the North Central, you will notice that it will be targeted at maybe churches because that is what they are able to get. And then at the end, they will say, oh, it's Muslims that kill Christians. If it happens in Kano or Borno, they will say Christians kill Muslims. So the way the whole situation is that we still need to go into executive session and get a date for our security summit so we can have close discussion on these matters. What is happening in the United States is of concern to Nigeria. It's of concern to the Christians, it's of concern to the Muslims. Because the moment they bring sanctions will breed poverty. Poverty knows no religion. So for me, engagement will be the best. So when we go into executive session, we can decide to set up a small ad hoc committee to go to United States or America and engage our colleague parliamentarians there. And then to also educate them. Because if you see what these people are doing, most of them are outsiders. When they come and start spraying bullets from GP, what do you call it, or they throw rocket, they are not throwing rocket into the crowd targeting a particular religion. They are killing Nigerians. I don't know who will now go and sit down and bring out maybe the dead bodies and say, this one is a Christian, this one is from this family, this must be a Muslim. This one. So we are facing a situation whereby these terrorists are trying to terminate the lives of Nigerians. And then, of course, frustrate us from going into the farms, producing food to feed ourselves. So this discussion will be better in a closed session. And I think at the end of the day, we should actually have a small team that should visit our colleagues and also put the other side. Because some people must have gone there to give a one-sided story. And at the end, it will now look as if only Christians are being killed by terrorists in Nigeria. But I can tell you that a lot of Muslims have lost their lives in the last 5-10 years. The same way Christians have also lost their lives. So my personal opinion is that Nigerians have lost their lives as a result of insurgencies, banditry, and others. So if you look at what is happening in the Southeast, predominantly Christians, most of those that are killed in the Southeast, including the late husband of our demised icon, Dora Kunyili, the way the man was shot dead and everything, will you come and ascribe that to religion? I'm talking about what IPOP is doing. You see brothers killing brothers. Okay, so the sit-at-home that is going on Mondays in the Southeast that has almost crippled the economy of the Southeast, is it targeted at Christians or Muslims? So Nigeria has complex security situations, and we should actually go out there and educate people so that they will know what to do. But when they just come out with a one-sided motion, it means they have a target, and that target is to strangulate the economy of Nigeria. That's my personal opinion. So it's left to us as a parliament to take proactive actions and be strategic in our response. If we stay here to give figures and instances where Muslims were killed or where Christians were killed, then we are not helping the situation. Ours should be, what do we do to ensure what Senator Jimmy Ibrahim said, counter terrorism? How do we respond to the guerrilla tactics of the terrorists, whether internal or external aggressors? So let's go into the prayers. Is there anybody that is opposed to this motion?
The last time this cry against Biafra came up was in 2023. Now, in 2025, the Biafran people, under the auspices of BRGIE, again dragged Nigeria to the US. And then the US lawmakers are responding after the congressional briefing. And you can hear Akpabio telling you that the Biafra people are the one that go to the US government to tell one-sided story and to drag Nigeria to the mud because we need intervention. Akpabio, you never say anything. Akpabio is a Biafran. Akpabio is IPOB. IPOB by birth. Akpabio is IPOB by birth. And don't be deceived when you hear IPOB. IPOB means the indigenous people of Biafra. Every Biafran born of the Old Eastern region is IPOB and is a Biafran. Akpabio that is speaking there is a Biafran. But because he's working for Nigerian terrorist government, that is why they had to put him there. They put him there to balance the equation of politics in Nigeria. They put Akpabio there so that you in the Old Eastern region will not say, hey, President, Muslim. Vice President, Muslim. Senate President, Muslim. So they had to come and look for Akpabio as a Biafran and put him as Senate President to be able to balance what? the politics affairs. So that they will also use Akpabio to suppress many of you from the whole eastern region that are Biafran, so that you will say, hey, Akpabio is the Senate president. They have balanced and also given us a position in Nigeria. It is called political tactics of how to use some of your brains. And they are using it very well. So Akpabio's cry is welcome to the Biafra Republic government in exile. It is only one Biafra Republic government in exile government. It is only one government of the Biafran people, one government of the indigenous people of Biafra that has been engaging the US Congress. And that is where the BRGIE, ably led by the acting Prime Minister, Honorable Okechukwu Nkere. So you can see how the Senate President, the lawmakers, the Senate of Nigeria are already crying, and they are calling out BRGIE outrightly. They are calling you out already and telling you that you have created scars on their body, that your diplomatic work in the US Congress in America has created scars on the Nigerian government. These are the things you need to understand. Your time and energy and resources, your everything that you put in is not in vain. It is paying off. You are seeing it. The Senate President of Nigeria cried like this the last time in 2023 with the name of our Prime Minister. Today, in 2025, he's crying now with the name of acting Prime Minister because of what you have gone to do in Washington, D.C. Yes. And we are still doing more. Because the kidnapping of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is international crime. The kidnapping of Biafran people is international crime. The taking of Biafran people and forceful disappearance of them in Biafra land and they take to Niger State, Abuja, Lokoja, Kaduna, Kano, they lock them up there in underground is against humanity. So, Akpabio, BRGIE work started far back in September 2024. I think this September of 2025 just made it 1 year. And in this 1 year anniversary of the diplomatic work of BRGIE in the US Congress, we have recorded tremendous success. Tremendous success. And you can see it. And that is why your entire lawmakers are crying. And the cry will increase. And we want the cry to increase on a daily basis. If Nigerian terrorist government can negotiate with Boko Haram terrorists, negotiate with bandits, that you people call them, people that have massacred babies, women, and children, take over communities, cut off heads of babies, and you call them bandits, so that the international community will not take it serious. The next terminology you come to use for them is that the insecurity is being caused by climate crisis. I thank God that when Michael Rubin was speaking in the US-CONGRESSIONAL briefing on Biafra, he cited that there is nothing like climate crisis. That climate does not hire trucks, does not carry weapons and give to Boko Haram terrorists. That climate change or crisis does not mobilize Boko Haram terrorists. That climate change or crisis does not give RPG, machine guns, armored cars, and trucks to Boko Haram terrorists to invade communities with AK-47 and 49. So if the U.S. senior personnel at the American Enterprise Institute, speaking in the U.S. Biafra Congressional briefing, is already citing and telling you that your analogy or your terminology of framing up the terrorism that is massacring people as climate change and crisis is faulty. What do you think that the lawmakers inside the US Congress will see of you? So, Akpabio, we love your lamentation because you lamented like this the last time we held Nigeria on their blockers. In 2023, that was when we had this kind of big cry. And then in 2025, October, we have had another big cry from the Senate of Nigeria and the presidency and the ministers and governors. That is why, as we are doing this one in Washington, D.C., we are also calling on those in Biafra land and in Nigeria to hold all the Igbo politicians accountable, starting from Akpabio, hold all of them accountable for the kidnap of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and his imprisonment and the forceful disappearance of all Biafrans on daily basis. Showore's protest of 20th is supported. Let him drag out all the Igbo terrorist politicians. It is opportunity to bring them all out, to expose them. It is opportunity to disgrace them because many of them come to talk in the morning that they are working to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. In the night, they go back to meet Tinubu and say, do not release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. What we went to do in the media is just to keep the media populace acquainted and to engage them. But the action that needs to be carried out is that do not release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This is what they do on daily basis. How many times have they not had Southeast Governors meeting? Since 2021, they have had Southeast Governors meeting and resolution for over 10 times till this year. And when they enter and come out, they come out and tell you, we are working on the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We are working on the release of Mazi. Every time, every 6 months, every 3 months, we are working on the release of Mazi. We are working on the release of Mazi. And all of you are seated there like zombie looking. Hold all the Igbo terrorist politicians accountable. All their families also accountable. All their businesses and companies accountable. Let them release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for you. It is not Tinubu that you have to go and hold. You hold your Igbo politicians, starting from Akpabio, all of them accountable from homeland. When you hold them accountable and ask them to produce Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they will know that you're serious. You hold their businesses and establishments, you hold their family. All of them, hold them accountable. Soludo, Otio, Pitambao, Ogbonnaya of Ebonyi, and the other one from Imo State, Uzodema, and the other one from Rivers that just came in, the other one from Akwa Ibom, the other one from Cross Rivers, the other one from Bayelsa and Delta. Hold all of them accountable. All the senators and ministers, hold them accountable. While you're doing that, we are doing this other one in Washington, D.C. And you are seeing the result. And you can see how Akpabio is crying because of the result that we are recording in Washington, D.C. Because they understand what these sanctions will mean. They understand the meaning of these sanctions. Akpabio is crying here and telling you that when this sanction comes, that these sanctions will affect all of us. So that this sanction will mean the poor person will go feel am. Him where they sit down here, go feel am. He no go fit travel, do business, and do anything again. All of them will be locked up. They know what the sanctions will mean to them, Nigerian criminal officials. The sanction is not on you, citizens of Nigeria. No. The sanctions is on the Nigerian officials. This is one thing some of you need to understand. America will not implement sanctions, and then the sanctions is on you. The sanction that is looking for the criminal politicians will go to the criminal politicians. Yes. Do you remember the one that Canada government did? when they catch the APC and PDP political criminal members and declare them all terrorist organizations? Did they come and hold you as a poor man that never partook in APC or PDP? No. Some of you that never partook in APC or PDP, you have been to Canada and come back. You have gotten visa to Canada. You are working in Canada. Have they targeted you? No. They are looking for these terrorists and these criminal politicians who are spearheading the massacre, the genocide of babies, women, and children. These are the people that they are looking for. But when you support them and you align with them, you will also bear the same brunt. So don't support them. Now, this is Akpabio here crying about the work that BRGIE did in Washington, D.C. and how it is coming to affect them because they have been so irrelevant. They have become dormant. They have folded their arms and allow everything to happen that shouldn't have happened. No baby's life is secured in Nigeria as we speak. No mother's life is secured. No medical practitioner's lives are secured. So if a medical practitioner's life is not secured, who will now save your life in the hospitals? Is it even the life of the police, the army, the air force, and the navy, those ones that are genuine? Because they have all been mixed up and reintegrated with what? The Boko Haram acclaimed terrorist repentant sect. So as they all come together, you can hardly differentiate the real Boko Haram terrorists and the real Nigerian army personnel that came from your community to go and join. So every of them becomes dangerous to the community. And the Boko Haram terrorists working with them can kill them anytime. Yes. Because they came in there to act as spies and to destroy the entire troop and to invade them when they get the signal. That is the main reason they were brought in there, to be reintegrated. As we speak now, over or about 70 drug lords, and some terrorists and kidnappers have just been pardoned. By who? By Tinubu government. While they say we should not go to America to drag them out. But what are they doing? They are normalizing impunity. They are normalizing impunity in Nigeria. This is the Nigeria that all of you are accusing us of. Tinubu is normalizing impunity, turning Nigeria into a heaven for murderers and drug barons. Yoruba Union blasts President Tinubu pardons of criminals. Tinubu just pardoned many criminals and terrorist sects, which he used to work in his drug baron business. Are you getting the point? So, in which country will drug barons be pardoned? Kidnappers and terrorists. After all, Boko Haram terrorists have been pardoned every day. They are having handshake with the presidency every day. They are being reintegrated into the army, the police, the air force, and the navy. So I don't even see that this one that is the drug barons should be exceptional. Because Tinubu is actually bringing out his partners in business that were locked up so that the business can overflow and things can continue. That is what Tinubu is actually doing here. For some of you that may not understand. But this is the same reason why Tinubu cannot enter America. Tinubu cannot enter America as president of Nigeria. Throughout his 4 years of tenure that he's going to serve, he will not be able to enter America. He can go to France. He can go to UK. He can go to Switzerland. He can go to every other countries and states. But to enter America, Tinubu cannot enter America because of his drug case. So this is what happens. But in the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Igbo politicians say, don't release him, kill him in jail, allow him to die. That is what Igbo politicians are telling Tinubu. And all of you are rejoicing because this is what Igbo politicians say Tinubu should do against the Biafran people. And you are clapping for them. You enjoy it. While drug barons are being pardoned, while kidnappers and terrorists are being pardoned, while everything that have murdered human beings and even do human trafficking, they are being pardoned in Nigeria. The case of Biafra now becomes a prime and a crime scene. It now becomes the epic center in Nigeria. The murder and the invasion of babies in their sleeps in Benue State, in Borno and Zamfara and Kwara, where entire community have run away to go and take refuge and become refugees in Cameroon. It is not a problem. The only problem that Nigeria has is where they hear Biafra. And that is why, since Biafra has become the only problem people have, we will continue to make sure the US Congress understands the plight of the Biafran people. We will continue to make sure the US Congress understands the plight of the Christians that are being massacred, because nobody is speaking for the Christians from Nigeria. It seems that it is only Biafran people that are now speaking for the Christians. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was speaking for the entire Christians in Nigeria. His awareness was to the Christians that they should rise up and face what is coming, that the terrorists are coming, and that they will rape your mothers, they will rape your children, they will kill everything that you have, they will take your wives and children, they will take over your lands, they will invade your communities, and they will drive you out, and you'll be running away to Cameroon, to Chad, to Niger Republic, and to Benue to go and seek refuge. Is it not happening before our very eyes? It's happening. But are they able to drive our women and children out from our lands to start running to Cameroon? No. Why are they unable to do so? It is because of you, Biafrans, your resilience in supporting and standing with the Biafra Defense Forces, who have put their lives on the line to make sure that Biafra land is defended and protected. Yes. So while you people are enjoying pardon of kidnappers, drug barons, the Biafra Republic government in Israel, the Biafran people will continue to open your nyash in America. Akpabio has not started crying yet. More cries are coming because more food are being cooked by BRGIE, the Biafra government, to serve Nigerian terrorist government from America. We want you people to go and look for our APM in the US Congress. If you want to see him, go to US Congress. You will see our APM there. Because US Congress is not like Europe. So if you want to see our APM, go to the US Congress. Yes, that is where he is. That's where he's having meeting with the US lawmakers. So that they will give you his terms and objectives if you want peace. It is only Biafra and nothing more. So the Yoruba Union, Ibinbo Majeboja Lebo Yoruba, has strongly criticized Bola Tinubu's decision to grant clemency to convicted criminals, calling it a dangerous act that weakens the rule of law and threatens the moral foundation of the country. In a statement released on Sunday and signed by Union's convener Olusola Badero and its home director Princess Balogun, the group accused Tinubu of fostering a political environment that one day enable individuals with criminal histories such as drug traffickers, murderers, and economic saboteurs to rise to positions of leadership and authority. This is the Nigeria that you find yourself today. The decision to pardon individuals convicted of heinous crimes such as murder, drug trafficking, illegal mining, and represent a grave miscarriage of justice, stated. Did you hear what I read? Decision to pardon convicted individuals of heinous crimes such as murder. Such as what? Murder. So these are terrorists. These are Boko Haram terrorists. These are terrorists that have murdered people. And Tinubu is giving them pardon. Drug traffickers, Tinubu is giving them pardon. Those that they have given life sentence in prison, Tinubu is giving them pardon. I want to ask all of you, who has Mazi Nnamdi Kanu murdered? Who has Mazi Nnamdi Kanu murdered that he was kidnapped? Where is the drug trafficking case or file of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Where is the illegal mining case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Which terrorism did Mazi Nnamdi Kanu commit? In Nigeria, Boko Haram terrorists are being rehabilitated back into the army, the Air Force, the Navy. They are given good positions. They are worn good uniforms. And today you are even seeing today that more murderers are being given pardon. While Igbo politicians are telling the federal government of Nigeria never to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that they should make sure he rots in jail because they don't want Biafra to come. Because they know that when Biafra comes and stands, that all of them are doomed. Because Biafra will take away corruption. Biafra will take away their criminalities. Biafra will take away their evil act. Biafra will send them to where they belong. Biafra will not allow them to breed their criminalities. They are all afraid of Biafra. That is why they would rather sign documents to kill Mazi Nnamdi Kanu than to allow Biafra to come. But they will applaud the decisions of Nigerian presidency of having peace talk with Boko Haram terrorists. They will applaud the Nigerian presidency of pardoning terrorists and murderers and kidnappers. Those that have committed crimes that are so bad, which Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have not committed any of it. By absorbing convicted criminals through political influence, President Tinubu is normalizing impunity at the highest level of governance. This action erodes public confidence in the judiciary, weakens democratic institutions, and sends a wrong message that crime pays in Nigeria. The message there is that crime pays in Nigeria. The Yoruba group describes Tinubu's action as a betrayal of justice, morality, and the Yoruba heritage that promote Omolubi or Omoluabi values, integrity, accountability, and respect for life. How can a president of a country wake up one day and announce he is going to pardon murderers and drug barons at a time when Nigeria is facing overwhelming challenges such as insecurity, poverty, unemployment, decaying education, and a collapsing health sector? The statement asks, the union said the presidential pardon granted to convicts, including those guilty of economic sabotage and capital offenses, showed insensitivity to victims and their families. It cited the controversial release of Mariam Sanda, convicted for killing her husband, Billy Yamin Bello, the son of a former People's Democratic Party chairman. While the parents of Billy Yamin Bello still live with the pain and trauma of losing their son, the government has chosen to reward his killer with freedom. Will they find peace knowing that the country that convicted their son's mother has now pardoned her for political reasons? Such act of favoritism destroy the moral compass of our society, the union said. Now, I want to also ask these Yoruba erudite writers and groups, when the federal government of Nigeria were having a peace deal and a handshake with Boko Haram terrorists, rehabilitating Boko Haram terrorists and releasing all of them and putting them into the army, the air force, and the navy and all, was it not immoral? Was it not an act of rewarding or promoting terrorists and murderers for what they did? Was it not? So why is it now that it is this one that you guys are making it speak volume so much? You guys seems to just realize that it is now that the Nigerian government have done something wrong. So were you all shying away from the reintegration of Boko Haram terrorists, the repentance of Boko Haram terrorists, the shaking of hands, the peace deal with all of them? Were you all unaware of this before? Or you were just claiming not to know? Or it wasn't important? Hey, my people, my people. You know, some of these Yoruba groups, you need to always ask them some questions. But it's even good that they will support their own like this, and then at the end of the day, they will still come out to criticize. Have you seen the Igbo politicians that we have do anything to the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? But they are actually the ones that they want him dead. Yes. They are the ones telling Tinubu, we want Mazi Nnamdi Kanu dead. We don't want him alive. So, Emilokon is going to prison to release and pardon all the Yoruba drug lords and the criminals which he used to play politics, because 2027 is here at the corner. Are you getting the point? Aha. You see, what is the name of this skit maker? Amunike. Amunike played a script exactly as what Tinubu is doing now. And some people did not understand the meaning of that script. Governor Amunike played a script. In that script, he played and showed how the politicians, they went to the prison custody, they demanded the governors, they demanded the release of some criminals, drug barons, and kidnappers that were imprisoned in cell since the last election. Now it was time for election that was approaching. It was time for campaign. It was time for them to have the bad guys to do some bad jobs for them. So they went to the prison custody. They ordered the prison warrant and the police commissioner to release all those drug barons and all those prisoners which have been sentenced to 5 years, 10 years, life imprisonment. They said, release them unconditionally. It is executive order, release them unconditionally. Governor Amunike, he played a skit on this. He played a script on this, but some people did not understand what he was playing. But now it is getting clearer. It is exactly what Tinubu has come to implement now. For those of you that are not aware, know it now, say it now, and understand it. Tinubu is releasing all his drug lords, his business partners in crime, the people that they use to carry out the political thuggery, the people that they need in their drug business so that their business can boom. That is what Tinubu has just done. So it is the Igbo politicians that should be asking themselves, why are they so useless? Why do they play their own politics with only their nose? Why don't they play their own politics with their brain? Because if you play your own politics with your brain, you will not use your brother, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. You will not use Biafra to sell for your own political gain. You will look for something else. And then you will use your fellow brothers to come together to stand against Nigeria to play your own politics. That is exactly what Tinubu is doing now. You may see the Yoruba brothers and sisters condemn this, but they themselves in their heart knows that Tinubu, what he's doing is to come and populate their drug business, is to come and also intensify their plan of the election that is coming up. If not, why will drug barons, why will kidnappers, why will terrorists, people that have murdered and raped communities and then put everything to ashes, why will they be brought out from prison and given pardon for them to come and enjoy life, for them to come and reintegrate with the society? At a time like this, where Nigeria is on a societal slide, where everywhere is volatile, at a time like this, you should all understand the game and what it means. Why has Igbo politicians decided to use Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to play nonsense game? Why Yoruba politicians are using their own brain to play a good politics and to be making money to themselves? Igbo politicians now become useless. They want to fight Biafra. They want to jail Mazi Nnamdi Kanu so that Biafra will not come. But Tinubu is releasing all his brothers and sisters from detention. Both the ones that were convicted of drugs, both the ones that were kidnappers, the ones that have killed people and massacred people and destroyed people's lives and homes. Tinubu is releasing them. And all of you are shouting, no, why will you cry? Don't cry. A Milokon is doing his job. Yes. And let him do it very well. In your next life, you will learn not to betray your own. You will learn not to use Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to sell out because of your selfish interests. You will learn not to use Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to play your political card. You will use your brain and come back to your senses. How many times have the Yorubas in power done you evil? Awolowo was brought out of detention, prison in Calabar. Before he was brought out on a condition. He signed and accepted to it and said, hey, as he's coming out, the West will stand with the East to secede Nigeria. Then on getting out, Gowon called him up, gave him position in politics to become the governor of Central Bank or Ministry of Finance, something like that. And he was the one that was now coming up with blockade, financial blockade against the Biafran people. The same Biafran people that released him few days ago inside detention. As he just came out, what did he do? He used his brain to go and work as politics. He now started working with political brain, decided to work for the interest of the Yoruba people, and then abandon you as the Biafran people. The next day, he granted a public broadcast. The West has nothing to do with the whole Eastern region's intention of seceding Nigeria. The whole Eastern region should count the West out of their secession movement. We are one Nigeria and we are not included. That was the end. That was 1967 down to this very day. And you have not learned your lessons. And you still carried Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You sell him out and give to Yoruba and Fulani terrorists today. Then you expect that they will now still come back to come and clap for you. Hey, no, sit down and wait. They will come and clap for you. While the Yoruba elders are enjoying themselves with their own opportunity to utilize the national memory of Nigeria, you sit down and be killing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and be killing Biafra. The group also recalled President Tinubu's controversial parts, referencing 1993 U.S. court ruling that linked him to narcotics trafficking. The United States District Court, presided over by Magistrate Judge John A. Riglo, stated that Tinubu and his associates peddled drugs on a large scale, describing the operations as substantial. The court ruled that funds seized from Tinubu were proceeds of narcotics, trafficking, and property involved in money laundering, in violation of U.S. Code 18, U.S.C.S.S. 1956 and 1957. It is deeply troubling, the Yoruba Nation said, or the Yoruba Union said, that someone who once forfeited $460,000 to the U.S. government as proceeds from drug trafficking now holds the power to pardon others convicted of similar crimes. What moral standing does such a leader have to speak about law, justice, and integrity? Is a question. Make una go answer. That is where the game of business comes in. This is where the game of business comes in. Yes. This is where you now understand the game. That it is about the drug business, the politics of the presidency, the 2027 nonsense. While all of you are crying about what Tinubu is doing, Igbo politicians are clapping for Tinubu. They want Tinubu to bring out more drug lords. They want Tinubu to bring out more murderers. They want Tinubu to bring out more kidnappers. They want Tinubu to bring out more criminals. But then, in turn, they want Tinubu to kill Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They want Tinubu to kill all Biafrans because they know that allowing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to breathe, allowing Biafra to breathe, is the end of the Igbo terrorist criminal politicians. So, as you're asking the question, what moral standing does such a leader have to speak about law, justice, and integrity? A business partner will always go to look for a business partner. For the business to grow very well, then we need our business partners so that we can balance the business. Do you know the losses that Tinubu have faced in his drug trafficking business for long now? So releasing all of them is a good deal for business to continue. Now, all the NDLAs that used to go into our communities to go and rake farms where people plant or see Indian hemp, they go and rake everywhere. They don't allow you to see Indian hemp to use and cook food or use it to do your hair or smoke, which is even medicinal. They will now go and pack everything and burn. Showore don't tell them before, say, when you see that they pack all those Indian name and say they are going to burn them, they are not burning, they are going to sell and make so much money. Because from the Indian neem leaves, there is oil that is made out of it, and it's very medicinal. Even you to boil the Indian neem leaf and drink alone is medicinal. For you to use it in water and then mix it with a conditioner and a lotion and then mix it in your hair while you're making hair is very good for the hair and the scalp. There are many things that God has given you that you don't know the usefulness of it. The Indian neem leaf cures many things on your body. The Nigerian government are destroying them, while other countries are making good use of it. But they'll tell you they destroy. Some they don't destroy. Some they sell it and collect the money. If they destroy, what is the point of Tinubu bringing out all the people that they arrested and say they are doing drug business, they are selling hard drugs, they were captured by this and that, they are criminals, they are terrorists. Tinubu is pardoning all of them. What society are you building? I pity the Igbo terrorist politicians who rather see and kill all of us than to allow us to see Biafra. Because their own aim and objective is not to see Onyendu release. It's not to see us survive. It's to see all of us eliminated. That's what they want to do. So, hold these evil people accountable. If not, they will be clapping for the Tinubu government as he is destroying your lives and bringing out all the terrorists and the drug barons that have been locked up in detention. That's what will happen.
Somebody suggested that we ought to have gone into executive session to discuss this, but I don't think we can win. No group can win any discussion on this because it depends on the state you are looking at. If terrorism occurs in a Christianly dominated state, most people that will die there will be Christians. If it occurs in a Muslim-dominated state, most of those who will die there will be Muslims. But if it occurs particularly in the North Central, you will notice that it will be targeted at maybe churches because that is what they are able to get. And then at the end they will say, oh, it's Muslims that kill Christians. If it happens in Kano or Borno, they will say Christians kill Muslims. So the way the whole situation is that we still need to go into executive session and get a date for our security summit so we can have close discussion on these matters. What is happening in the United States is of concern to Nigeria. It's of concern to the Christians, it's of concern to the Muslims. Because the moment they bring sanctions sanctions will breed poverty. Poverty knows no religion. So for me, engagement will be the best. So when we go into executive session, we can decide to set up a small ad hoc committee to go to United States or America and engage our colleague parliamentarians there. And then to also educate them. Because if you see what these people are doing, most of them are outsiders. When they come and start spraying bullets from GP, what do you call it, or they throw rocket, they are not throwing rocket into the crowd targeting a particular religion. They are killing Nigerians. I don't know who will now go and sit down and bring out maybe the dead bodies and say, this one is a Christian, this one is from this family, this must be a Muslim. So we are facing a situation whereby these terrorists are trying to terminate the lives of Nigerians. And then, of course, frustrate us from going into the farms, producing food to feed ourselves. So this discussion will be better in a closed session. And I think at the end of the day, we should actually have a small team that should visit our colleagues and also put the other side. Because some people must have gone there to give a one-sided story. And at the end, it will now look as if only Christians are being killed by terrorists in Nigeria. But I can tell you that a lot of Muslims have lost their lives in the last 5-10 years. The same way Christians have also lost their lives. So my personal opinion is that Nigerians have lost their lives as a result of insurgencies, banditry, and others. So if you look at what is happening in the Southeast, predominantly Christians, most of those that are killed in the Southeast, including the late husband of our demised icon, Dora Akunyili, the way the man was shot dead and everything, will you come and ascribe that to religion? I'm talking about what IPOP is doing. You see brothers killing brothers. Okay, so the sit-at-home that is going on Mondays in the Southeast that has almost crippled the economy of the Southeast, is it targeted at Christians or Muslims? So Nigeria has complex security situations, and we should...
The only problem and the only way Akpabio could defend their fellow politicians against the bill introduced by the US Congress is to start crying about IPOB, is to start crying about Biafra, is to start crying about the sit-at-home. Is it the sit-at-home that is killing over 500 babies, women, and children in Borno State? Is it the sit-at-home that is driving out people in Kwara State to run to Cameroon to become refugees? Is it the Biafran people that is doing that? So when you see and identify a problem and you don't want to solve it, this is how you will be junketing in your submissions. You have a case at hand you should handle, and you people have been covering it up. So the IPOB that you're calling now, which has a government, the indigenous people of Biafra have a government, and it is BRGIE. They are the people that took you to US Congress. And that is why, as you're speaking, you don't make reference to any other person. You are referring to IPOB. You start pointing IPOB, sit at home. You start pointing IPOB and saying they are killing their people. They are doing this and doing that. Hey, Akpabio, let the cry continue, because you are one of the Igbo politicians that needs to be held accountable for the massacre of the babies, women, and children that have occurred in Biafra land. Now, a drug baron, a president, must uphold the standard of their business agreement. You don't expect Tinubu to become the president of Nigeria and then allow their drug business partners in crime to rot in jail. Tinubu must have to do something in order to return the favor of what they had agreed upon as business partners before that one went into prison. So that is why Tinubu is now doing their business, dispatching their own part, and making sure everybody have their own fair share. The Igbo politicians, they are crying and they are looking for what? They are looking for the head of Martin Amdekan, looking for the head of Biafran people. That is the most foolish set of people that we have ever seen. Biafran people, hold them accountable. Wherever you see them, hold them accountable. The group warned that Nigeria risks becoming a country ruled by criminals and corrupt politicians, while law-abiding citizens are sidelined or punished. When the state chooses to pardon murderers and drug traffickers but continues to prosecute farmers and ordinary citizens for defending their lives and livelihoods, justice loses all meaning, it said. Are you getting the point? Now, to illustrate the imbalance, the Yoruba Union mentioned the case of a farmer named Jackson in Adamawa, sentenced to death in 2013 after killing a Fulani herder. In self-defense, the herder reportedly attacked him after invading his family with cattle, yet Jackson was convicted of culpable homicide and sentenced to death by hanging. In a country where a poor farmer defending himself is condemned to death, while a convicted murderer walks free by presidential pardon, there is no justice. Only selective mercy, the group stated. Hey, the Yoruba Union expressed concern that Tinubu's actions were eroding Yoruba values of justice, integrity, and communal responsibility. It warned that glorifying corrupt and criminal figures in politics could breed a generation that views crime as a legitimate route to success and power. Hey, this is just to make me laugh as I read about, honestly, it just to make me laugh because I am reading and the thing is becoming very interesting. This is a Milokon. This is what happens when people vote for leaders guided by self-interest rather than moral values. The consequence is a country trapped in a cycle of corruption, insecurity, and economic despair. Only divine intervention can save Nigeria from the calamities ahead if this culture of impunity persists. Ibinimo Mejabo Ile Yoruba urged religious leaders, civil society organizations, and citizens to stand up against what is called a creeping normalization of evil in Nigeria's governance. The Yoruba people have always stood for truth, imagine, justice, and fairness. Enokwa, it stated. We cannot sit back while the country descends into moral chaos. President Tinubu must remember that leadership is not about rewarding allies, but about upholding justice, protecting the innocent, and preserving the integrity of the nation. The group called on Nigerians, particularly Yoruba citizens, to remain vigilant, defend truth and justice, and resist attempts to normalize corruption and moral leadership decay in the country. Where were all these grammar-looking brains of Yorubas when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped and locked up and kept incarcerated for many years? Where were they to have come to read and quote the constitution and the law of Nigeria for everybody to know? Where were they? I'm asking a very simple question. Is it now that their eyes are opening of what they should say and how they should say it? because I hate hypocrisy, honestly. I hate hypocrisy. The same people that are here criticizing Tinubu now, when Tinubu has been in office for how many months, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is rotting in jail, and Igbo politicians are telling him, don't release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. These same people have not come out to tell Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, or to tell Tinubu, release this man, because what you are doing is evil. And listening to the Igbo politicians to kill this man is evil. They did not come out to do so. They supported Tinubu. Today, they are coming to shout. And they are saying, oh, Yoruba people always stand for justice, fairness, and equity, and transparency. In which Nigeria? In the Nigeria where Yoruba people will be doing lie and sabotage and lie and lie and lie just to protect their own interests. They will capitalize on the weakness of others who are very foolish. And then they will brainstorm and utilize every ample opportunity to remain in power. And then they are here quoting Nigerian constitution for you. Now look at what Tinubu did. Presidential pardon offense committed October 2025. Number one, drug lords, 29.2% from the pardon. The people that are drug lords in the pardon are 29.2%. That is the highest number of people pardoned in this Tinubu presidential pardon are what? Drug lords. Drug lords. This is where Tinubu's business is really making waves. Unlawful mining, they say 24%. Homicide, they say 13.5%. Fraud and corruption, they say 12.3%. Hijacking, they say 5.8%. Firearms, they say 2.3%. Robbery and theft, they say 2.3%. Kidnapping, they say 1.8%. Human trafficking, they say 1.8%. And others, they say 5.8%. Now, when you see that drug business, that the drug lords are the ones that are actually brought out of detention, what do you think that it is all about? It is about business interests. Yes. All of you are talking about corruption, human trafficking, pardon of criminals and murder. Tinubu is trying to revive his drug business in Nigeria because many of the drug barons and the connections you people have locked him out. He's not making so much money. So he's giving presidential pardon to 29.2% of the drug lords to come out so that business can continue as usual, so that things can continue to move, so that naira and dollar will continue to flow. This is business. I want all of you to understand that this is Tinubu business. But the point here is that Igbo politicians are very foolish. Tinubu drug lord pardons is making sense now. Kidnappers and terrorists. Interesting. While Igbo politicians tells you that you should not release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but kill all Biafrans. You see how foolish and useless Igbo terrorist politicians are? Yes. That is why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not released. That is why they went to prison to go and destroy Wazirike. They kill all his commanders, and then Igbo politicians now carried the remaining one handcuffed to go and meet Wazirike in the prison and told Wazirike, see, all your commanders have all hands down. This is the remaining one last person, and he is the most trusted. He is the only last one, and he has even hands down already. He has signed document already, so it's remaining only you. You have two options. Is either you sign the paper, you sign the undertaking and the MOU, and then you come out and walk a free man, or you rot in jail for the rest of your life, because all the people that you were shouting Biafra with, they have abandoned you. They have all signed documents and received money from Nigerian government, and none of them is with you again. So Wazirike was on this alone. This is how Igbo politicians destroy Wazirike. This is how they destroy Wazirike. It's just like Martin Amnikan in detention today. When he hears that you are not doing sit at home again, that you are not shouting Biafra again, that you're not doing anything about Biafra again, and then the next thing, they bring Soludo to go inside there. They bring the lawyer to go inside there and tell Martin Amnikan that nobody is talking Biafra again. Every Biafran have rejected you. Then Martin Amnikan will now be only with his head alone. He will be asking himself, who put me into this mess? That is how far the betrayal that was properly orchestrated against Wazirike was done. I want everybody to understand. So, Igbo politicians continue to be foolish, thinking that you will kill Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, while Yoruba politicians enjoy themselves. And people have actually screenshotted and brought out the photos and the videos of the people that Tinubu is pardoning. They say many of them masterminded the kidnapping and the killing and massacre of many people. They have even brought out their names. This happened in 2013. Can you see the names and the faces? Tinubu is pardoning kidnappers and terrorists and Boko Harams and murderers. They say one of these people that Tinubu is pardoning, they even had happened to be the people that were responsible for the kidnapping of Mike Ozekome and the mother of Chud Nwike, former deputy governor of Anambra. So Tinubu had a chain of drug cartel. Tinubu had a very good business plan on how they deal and make the money. Now, everything is showing up. Our question is, why are Igbo politicians so useless and wicked? Yes. And I will also bring the blame back to all of you, fellow Biafrans. Yes, because you are not doing your job. You are not holding your leaders accountable. You're not holding all these politicians accountable for their evil. If you hold them accountable, you will not allow them to turn your future into rubbles, because they have actually turned your future into rubbles. That is why many of you are even doing Japa system. That is why many of you don't even have hope. Many of you are resourceful, ambitious, and industrious. You can do something and make something out in your own life, because you have given this room to these terrorist leaders to use you and do you and dump you. You then become hopeless. So everybody should wake up and hold your leaders accountable. Tinubu is paying his drug cartels back the good as part and terms of their business deals. That is what I can explain to all of you. Yes. It's part of their business deals that they must bring out all the drug lords that were sentenced to life imprisonment because of their business deals. It's bringing them out one after another. And all the kidnappers and the terrorists and everyone that have been part and parcel of what they have been doing, they are bringing them out while your Igbo politicians are there to kill Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and to kill Biafrans. You see how foolish they are? The Yorubas are using their brain to protect their own, while you people are killing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and killing Biafrans. So, who is to be blamed? Will you now start blaming Tinubu for your menace? Don't blame Tinubu. Blame yourself and wake up and hold your leaders accountable. Support BRGIE and support the BDF in the homeland. Support the de facto government in the homeland. We will continue to make sure Nigeria hear from the Biafran people in diverse ways. And also remember that Nigerian politicians already know that going to court on the 16th is a written script that will be acted as drama. That is why the protest of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is slated for the 20th. It is not slated for a day before the court of 16th. So it is slated for the 20th. So that means on the 16th, they have already drafted a script of what they want to present in court that day. That is why you now see all this clemency, pardoning of terrorists and kidnappers and drug barons. Is part of their enjoyment as a pact of what they had agreed upon. I salute all Biafrans. Please, see you around and continue supporting BRGIE as we move on. And before we go, there's something you need to understand. Azubike has played, yes, Azubike has played the accountability group, something that some of you don't understand. This is what Azubike has played the accountability group. We want you all to see it. Because when you go to this, their useless website that they have turned to where they use it to play game. Azubike here. Here is Azubike. All of you should see, here is Azubike. Here is Azubike. Azubike was the website manager to this Biafra Republic Government in Exile, the old website. This is the same old website which them, Azubike, Choma, Joy Robi, Obi Obodo, Bryson Okoma, Imam Madubom, Ajare Dr. Sam, they all connive and pick up the website. They say they want to control the website because they want to see money come into account and go. They want to know how money is being spent. Because the only problem of Igbo man is to see and betray this struggle. That's the only problem of these politicians that you see. They want to see that they betray this struggle. Backstabbing, evil, jealousy, and hatred. That is what they have done to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. That is what they did to Wazirike. That is what they have also done to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. While Yoruba are there protecting Showore, protecting Sunday Igbo, waiting Igbo politicians they think of. It is how to end and to destroy and to stop Biafra. It is how to go and testify against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in court. It is how to go and testify against Mazi Simon Ekpa in court. This is what you are all doing instead of thinking of a way to keep your ego and pride aside and humble yourself and allow the person that is in one position to do what he can do. And you just give the support and then listen and push ahead. No, you want to control and see everything. You want to go everywhere. If it is not you doing it, you are not satisfied. You must be the one to do it. Now, listen to this video. This life today, guy man don't guy man. Guy man, guy yo. Yes. Azubike, the website manager of EMA Accountability Group, this is their own website, which they have turned to nonsense. I want all of you to check this website. You will not see Azubike on this website again. He has removed himself. Yes. He don't remove himself. You can see Emma, see Joy Robi, see the rest of the people, see Ajare, see PM Face, see Choma, see Princess, see Bryce and Okoma, see Joy, see Obodo, see Malakai, see Nena, see Ibe, see Chinedu, see John, see Tina, see Chuk, see Innocent, see Boniface, see Mwaba, see Lolo, see Uchenna. Have you seen all of them? Continue looking. Oh. Show me whether you will see Azubike. You cannot see Azubike. But on this very website, Azubike writes in bold that Sonny and Okenkere are criminals. But look at the criminality that Azubike is doing to his group already. He has removed himself from the website and then allowed the rest of them to be there. So if you're looking for Azubike, you will not see his information, you will not see his face on the website. But he's pushing these other ones to the public so that when it is time for lawsuit, we will see these ones and we'll catch them. You cannot see Azubike information on this website again. You cannot see his face. His face was there before. You cannot see anything that has to connect with Azubike so that you will not trail and know that he's the one behind everything. This is how criminal Azubike has treated his gangs. His gangsters, they are all there. I want all of them to go and ask Azubike, why are all our faces inside the website, but your own face just disappeared and your name disappeared? Why did you remove your face? Why did you remove your own name? Why did you disappear on the website? What are you hiding that the rest of them don't know? Make una go ask some because Azubike go use una play the game where una been one use take play the entire Biafran people. Una block this website, carry and put for una hand. Block account, open new account, then go and bring the Biafran government account, the bank statement, and be reading it on the social media so that you can destroy BRGIE and destroy Biafra restoration. But you have all failed. But now the Azubike that was doing everything for you on the website, that is behind everything, blocking the bank account, blocking this, blocking website, blocking this, and writing letter to block all our payment portal. You people use him to do it. Now we cannot find his face on the website. But we know where to get him, we know his name, we know how the lawsuit will get to him, because lawsuit is prepared and waiting for Azubike. So tell Azubike he cannot run. No. If he has removed his face from the website, he cannot run and hide. This life today, guy man don't guy man. Guy man, guy yo. Yes. Azubike, the website manager of EMA Accountability Group, this is their own website, which they have turned to nonsense. I want all of you to check this website. You will not see Azubike on this website again. He has removed himself. Yes. He don't remove himself. You can see Emma, see Joy Robi, see the rest of the people, see Ajare, see PM Face, see Choma, see Princess, see Bryce and Okoma, see Joy, see Obodo, see Malakai, see Nena, see Ibe, see Chinedu, see John, see Tina, see Chuk, see Innocent, see Boniface, see Mwaba, see Lolo, see Uchenna. Have you seen all of them? Continue looking. Oh. Show me whether you will see Azubike. You cannot see Azubike. But on this very website, Azubike writes in bold that Sonny and Okenkere are criminals. But look at the criminality that Azubike is doing to his group already. He has removed himself from the website and then allowed the rest of them to be there. So if you're looking for Azubike, you will not see his information, you will not see his face on the website. But he's pushing these other ones to the public so that when it is time for lawsuit, we will see these ones and we'll catch them. You cannot see Azubike information on this website again. You cannot see his face. His face was there before. You cannot see anything that has to connect with Azubike so that you will not trail and know that he's the one behind everything. This is how criminal Azubike has treated his gangs. His gangsters, they are all there. I want all of them to go and ask Azubike, why are all our faces inside the website, but your own face just disappeared and your name disappeared? Why did you remove your face? Why did you remove your own name? Why did you disappear on the website? What are you hiding that the rest of them don't know? Make una go ask am o, because Azubike go use una play the game where una been wan use take play the entire Biafran people. Una block this website, carry am put for una hand, block account, open new account, then go and bring the Biafran government account, the bank statement, and be reading it on the social media so that you can destroy BRGIE and destroy Biafra restoration. But you have all failed. But now the Azubike that was doing everything for you on the website, that is behind everything, blocking the bank account, blocking this, blocking website, blocking this, and writing letter to block all our payment portal. You people use him to do it. Now we cannot find his face on the website. But we know where to get him, we know his name, we know how the lawsuit will get to him, because lawsuit is prepared and waiting for Azubike. So tell Azubike he cannot run. No. If he has removed his face from the website, he cannot run and hide. Okay, my people. I believe you have all seen Azubike handwork there, so they should not be too hasty in running. So those of you that are with them, go and ask them where is Azubike on the website and why he is out of their website while all of them, their faces are still there. Where is Azubike running to? And why is he running out of the website? After writing Okechukwu name and Sonny's name and put on the website as criminal, fraudster. Now he's running, and then he has removed himself from the website, and then he put the rest of their faces there, exposing them to danger. But yet he's hiding himself. I beg you, Azubike, don't run, no, and don't hide. Come back. I salute all Biafrans and see you all.